Apologies to anybody who was just watching. Oh. Apologies to anybody who was just watching and it went off. I think I'd left the Wi-Fi on or something. It was just trying to connect to one of these houses, and that's why it went off. So we were just talking about the team and how we expect Wolves to set up. I expect that it'll be Ruddy in goal, and that it will be Cody in the centre defence. We always see him in that position. I think he's only missed one game since Nuno's been in charge back last August. Maybe he missed a couple of League Cup games early on. I'm not quite sure. LUFC Dave's asking, will Ryan Giles play? I'd be surprised, to be honest. I think the general consensus from the press conference yesterday and from what the local press have been saying is that he won't play because I think Wolves want to guarantee that they go through into the next round, and they'll do that by playing their strongest team. And I think, although they had two Premier League games last week, one on Tuesday night, one then again Saturday, and then this game before. But they've got a decent rest now after today. They've go to Marbella on holiday. I say holiday. It'll be some sort of training, I imagine. Out there, warm weather training, vitamin D, which they went and got last season, a little bit earlier than this, because of course they were knocked out of the FA Cup at the third round stage last year, so they weren't. They were a bit, they had a bit more time earlier on. So, I think Johnny will play left back, and I think Doherty will play right back. I would be sticking to the best defence possible. Then in midfield, I probably wouldn't risk Ruben Neves at the moment. I think he went off on Saturday, of course, with a bit of a knock. My brother said he texted Charles to say if he wanted to play football, and he said, no, I have a game today. I think he's likely to be on the bench. I'd be surprised if he started today, I think. Although, we never know. Nuno might say, well, that was the team that I started on last weekend against Shrewsbury, and it's the team that's going to have to fix things. But I imagine Neves will come out. Dendoncker, I think, will play. He's been superb in the games that he's played since he came into the team against Tottenham back at the end of December. He's really changed the team, and he's galvanised that midfield, and he does all the dirty work that Neves and Moutinho do, but they're not particularly great at doing it there. I think Gibbs will probably play, although he didn't have his best game either against Shrewsbury in the last time he played. So I want to see a better attitude from him, really. He was a little bit arrogant for my liking in that game, and telling off Costa and Traore for mistakes that they'd made when actually he wasn't doing the simple things right. So it was a little bit arrogant for a young player like that. And he's got to remember that he's still only 18, 19, at playing amongst players who are more experienced and have played in the Champions League and things like that, or have come with big fees like Traore. Not that automatically demands respect straight away, but sort of, you have to in football. Who's likely to be left wing back? I think probably Johnny today. Vinagre's been ill. I think otherwise he would have played in this game. I was surprised really to not see him in the Shrewsbury game originally, because when we've seen him so far this season, he's been superb. And Giles was given the nod on that day. Giles being, if you consider that they're the same age, they're both 18, and they're Ryan Giles and Ruben Vinagre. Ruben Vinagre's got such a massive potential, and he already seems like a Premier League player in the making. Whereas Giles, I think, looks like he needs a loan, or he needs first team football lower down the football league to be able to, and then come into the Premier League. I don't think he's ready to be thrown into it just yet. I'd be shocked if he was to make any sort of impact on the first 11 this season. But my brother says that Giles is a good runner and class at football. Well, a couple of times I've seen him playing. Saw him play at Stoke in pre-season, and then saw him play against Shrewsbury. He did look okay. But bear in mind now we're watching a Premier League team and a consistently good Premier League team over the last couple of months. So for me, he lacks the ability on his right side. He's very, very left-sided. So when he cuts inside, he's lost, and he often loses the ball, or doesn't have an end product, which is something that he needs to improve on. Also, he looked a little bit afraid in the game against Shrewsbury last time. He didn't. When you see young players come into the team, they often really want the ball and they come short for it and they're doing a lot more running. He seemed a little bit shell-shocked, a little bit nervous, a little bit like... I don't want to say that he didn't want to be there, because that wasn't the case at all, but just that he... I don't know, he just seemed a little bit afraid. So, yeah. And then up front, I think I mentioned this earlier on, I think it'll be Traore, I think it'll be Costa, maybe Cavaleiro down the middle, or Niall Ennis, I think is more likely. I'd be tempted personally to go for Costa and Cavaleiro and not play Traore. I think he had... Costa didn't really have a very good game in the first game either, so it'll be interesting to see what Nuno goes for. Niall Ennis is the one that's been touted. I've just seen Shiv has mentioned in the comments that people... he's been to school with Niall Ennis and he's a bit jealous of him. A bit jealous, Shiv. Sami Faiz there is saying that Wolves need a CAM, an attacking midfielder in our team. I think if you've watched us over the last few weeks, I think we kind of do play with a attacking midfielder in Moutinho or Gibbs-White, whoever it is on the day. When they play three in midfield, they play with somebody who's able to link the attack and the defence a little bit better. And Moutinho's done a fantastic job of that in the Premier League. Gibbs-White needs to step up a little bit and do it in these cup matches now as well. I think he'll be given the opportunity tonight, I imagine. And, you have to expect him to perform against the League One outfit, a team right down the bottom of League One who's struggling. If we just touch for a moment on Shrewsbury as well, I think they're 1 point off the bottom of the League One table. Really, really poor in a form that they've been on at the moment. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I always try my best with these quick little thumbnails. Shrewsbury, obviously, their main aim for the rest of the season is to stay in League One. They did so well last year under Paul Hurst. Then, of course, he was poached by Ipswich to go there, and that didn't work out. Sam Ricketts then has been left with this mess down the bottom of League One to try and scramble together some players. Players like Scott Goldborn is not able to play in this game because he wasn't registered before the first tie, so he can't play today. Dave Edwards as well looks like he might be injured. I expect that he will be trying to get on the bench, and even if it's just for 5 minutes at the end, if they're even if the game's gone, I expect that Dangerous Dave will want to play at Molineux one more time. It's probably his last opportunity, unless we draw them somehow in the cup again next year, maybe. But it'll be... If I was the Shrewsbury manager, of course, this is their big game, their biggest game of the season, probably. So they're gonna go for it. They're gonna try and get something, but I feel that they've had their chance. They've had their opportunity where they were 2-0 up with 15 minutes to go, and they didn't see the game up at Shrewsbury. I think the pitch will be a big help for Wolves tonight. I think the big pitch and being able to spread the play and being able to switch the play so quickly will be beneficial for Wolves. We saw that a number of times last season. Wolves just able to move the ball so quickly and switch play from one side to the other. It was almost impossible for teams down in the Championship to cope with that. So Josh Downs has just written quite a long comment. Let's see if I can get this before it goes. What's your opinion on Wolves fans? I've started to notice some of us haven't got a clue. We're too fixated on the old style and just running around chasing the ball, having 99% possession. People still don't understand we play counter-attacking flot ball and have to stay disciplined. I'm just going to mull over that while I have a sip of my Diet Coca-Cola. Have you ever seen Wayne's World? So I think that the Wolves fans have become increasingly more intelligent over the last 18 months since Nuno's come in. I think when Nuno first came in and we saw what, the first couple of games, I think it's taken a long time for the majority of Wolves fans to accept that, yes, we soak up a lot of pressure, like Josh said, and we play on the counter attack, and it can be quite difficult to watch sometimes, but we've got better against the teams that we should be beating. But I think the benefit that we've had over the last couple of weeks is that we've had a run of fixtures against teams who are good Premier League teams, and we are. So we were able to sort of let them play and catch them. But we didn't do that against West Ham, I didn't think. I think we controlled a lot of the game, but we waited for those chances. We're very patient. You can see them almost where they let opposition have possession at the edge of the box, and they sort of line up ready, and one of them will break when there's a loose pass, and they'll snap into it and they'll play it forward. And it's really quick and really exciting to watch, because at any point the Wolves could make something happen. We saw 2 goals against Leicester come from balls from our own half really quickly out to the wingers, and then something happened almost instantly. So that Wolves can score in seconds. So that's quite exciting. I think we've got to be more understanding and more patient, I think. But we've got a lot better as a fan base. I remember games last season, Millwall down here in particular, we won the game 1-0 really comfortably. Should have been more, but we just couldn't make extra things happen because teams would sit back against us last year and would just let us have possession, and we weren't. I think we've developed as a team. We've developed as a team as well, and we were able to make things happen and to be patient and to. I think bigger than anything, we play to the 95th minute every game. That's why we're 3rd or 4th in the league. I think for late minutes of last 15-minute goals, things like that. We keep on going. We're fitter than. Excuse me. We're fitter than any other team, I think, in the Premier League. I think we're getting cleverer. I think the players are getting cleverer. So yeah, and the fans are as well. The fans are more accepting of it. So there's a bit of a discussion there. Somebody saying that they're from Saudi Arabia and love the Wolves because they have an exceptional plan and teamwork is exceptional. Sammy, I'll be interested to hear if you are familiar with the former Wolves player who came from Saudi Arabia. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think he was the first Saudi player to play in England. Certainly the first Saudi player to play for Wolves, Sami Al-Jabir. Are you familiar with him? He came only for a few games to Wolves and didn't really do very well. Bit of a discussion as well about Traore there. People say that he's not performing well enough and that he's an impact player. I agree with that statement, but I think that today, I think you've got to give him a go today. If he doesn't play against Shrewsbury, if he doesn't do it against Shrewsbury, then who's he going to do it against? I'd be very interested to see him on this big pitch. I think we need to be putting a little bit on those balls over the top and see if he can nip in behind and make things happen. That's what I want to see. Will Kilman and Adama be in the team? I'd be surprised if Will Kilman was in the team. His name is Sami Al-Jabir. I thought it was Sami Al-Jabir. Al-Jabir. He was the Saudi captain and scored 3 World Cups for Saudi Arabia. Right. Yeah, he played for Wolves for a very little spell, Sammy, in the late 90s. Lineup is out. Josh Downs says standard 5 at the back, Ruddy and goal. Morgan, Gibbs, White and Sace in the middle. Cav, Costa and Traore. So no Niall Ennis. I imagine, Josh, could you just confirm for me, because I can't see, but is Niall Ennis on the bench? I assume he is. I think he's been talked about quite a lot in the build-up for this game. As a former Shrewsbury player as well, it'd be nice for him if he could get a few minutes against him and get a bit of redemption after his broken leg last year when he went there. Only lasted a couple of games before that terrible injury. So I assume that this comment is about Traore now as well from Chris Harris. He needs to understand the game with Villa. He had to play the side. So when he was at Villa, he had to play on the side the manager was on, so he could be told what to do. And we've seen that a little bit from Nuno as well. Ennis is on the bench. Thank you, Josh. We've seen that a little bit as well. Nuno likes to lecture him. Whenever there's a break in play, he comes over and Nuno speaks to him. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what to do with Traore. He's a very, very frustrating player. But I'm feeling fairly confident about today. I think that the first 10 minutes, first 20 minutes is vital. If we can get a goal in that time, or settle any sort of doubt, any sort of nerves. The big crowd here as well, 30,000 for FA Cup replays. Quite amazing. If you think back 5 years again, I know we keep looking back 5 years ago at the moment, but we had a first round replay because we were in the third tier, so we were in the first round, played against Oldham, drew up there, came back to Molineux, and I think there was a record low attendance. I want to say something like 5,000, 6,000 for that. If you look at how far we've come, we're playing a team of a similar stature, Shrewsbury and Oldham. No Giles, he needs games, and if he needs games, loan him out. Well, yeah, I think the way that they've done it with these young players, I think Tim Spears touched on it yesterday, or not Tim Spears, Nathan Judah and Joe Edwards, I think it was from the Express and Stars, talking about how Wolves have been going about this because they've brought in quite a few young players into the squad recently. We've seen Kilman, we've seen Cameron John, Niall Ennis now on the bench as well. So they're bringing in, they reckon it might be the best trainer from the week. They bring various under-23s up to train with the first team. Whoever does the best gets to go in the first team. I think that's an interesting way to go because, of course, we're safe in the league. We can whisper it, but we are safe. 38 points. I can't see any of the bottom three getting anywhere near that. I don't know whether there's a Middlesbrough fan. Is he confused? He's just put the Borough team up there. So we're safe in the league, so we can afford to experiment a little bit and throw a couple of young players in. And with the squad being so small, with only 18 outfield players, it'd be interesting if somebody like Jimenez was to get injured. What would we do? Would we play? I think we'd probably play Traore up front, which would be Traore and Jota or Traore and Jimenez. I don't know if either of those two combinations would work, to be honest. What do you think of Helder Costa? Poor attitude, inconsistent, still good enough for the first team. If you think back 2 years ago when Costa was the man in that 16-17 season, everything had to go through him. All the good things came through him, and he was the best player. Somebody mentioned last year when Neves came in and Cavaliero started playing better and Jota was in as well. It didn't help Costa because Costa likes being the big fish. He likes being the big, the best player, and apparently he didn't like that very much. And his attitude wasn't quite, what it was the season before. He wasn't working as hard. He did also pick up that injuries knee last summer as well, which took him a long time to get back back to full fitness. Then this season, I don't know, the Premier League is tough, and we've seen players like Neves and players like Jota have to take a step back and come out of the team before going back into it. Sort of like a watching brief. We saw Neves miss quite a lot of games over Christmas, but has come back, since the new year, and it's been amazing. I say he's probably been has he been our best player, or has Jimenez been our best player since Christmas? I think probably Jimenez. Right, a couple of questions. Quite a few more people in here now. If you drop a like as well, so that we get this stream going up the charts. There's about 10 minutes left before I head off to the mall All right, Rob Fletcher says, since we've started playing like we did last season, we look a different team. We are counter-attacking sooner and taking the game more to the opposition, even if we are not dominating possession yet. I think the Everton game and the West Ham game last week were just the best 2 games back-to-back I've ever seen Wolves play, particularly in the Premier League. The most dominating performances. It just harked back to last year and various points last year. 6 changes. Centre-backs and wing-backs stay the same as Everton, Ruddy, Gibbs, White, Sace, Cav, Costa and Traore. And yeah, so they're all top players. They all should be able to deal with the League One team. I imagine that the defence being left what it was is part of it. I think Sace might play a good part in that as well. Maybe being able to keep the midfield under control. I'm quite glad that Neves has been given a rest as well. Hope Gibbs, is he? Gibbs doesn't get too big for his boots again yet. He's got to be humble tonight. He's got to realise you can't just turn up and it's going to be easy for him. You've won the World Cup, son, but you're playing against Shrewsbury. You know? Every game is as important. Good to see Ruddy in goal for us. He was class last season. Yeah, I agree. Although it was about this time last year, remember, with the Norwich game and things like that, where he was struggling and was being called to be dropped. So it'd be interesting to see how he copes, because he was good against Liverpool. I don't think he was quite brilliant against Shrewsbury in the first leg. I think he could be blamed for the first goal. I think it was pretty harsh. It was very well struck shot. But yeah. So Yolanda the Panda, she says Jimenez has been the best player this season. Thank you to the people who've liked the video. It's not come up in here. It still says 0, but I trust that a few people are. Dazzling Dave's in the house. Go on, Dave. What do you think the score's going to be? I don't know. I said to somebody earlier on, it could be as little as 1-0, or it could be as many as 8. When I say 1-0, we could lose 1-0, or we could win 8-0. I never know anyway before Wolves games at the moment what to predict, because I think all 3 results are perfectly reasonable. But I don't know. I don't know what to say tonight. I think we'll have too much for Shrewsbury tonight. I hope we do. I really hope we do. Let me have a look at some of the other comments coming in. Do you think we'll finish 6th place? Sammy says. I think we're a bit too far away at the moment. I think it's 9 points the gap between us and Arsenal. Unless one of those teams above us goes on a catastrophic run of form and we manage to carry on this amazing run of form that we're on, but it's going to have to be for the rest of the season for us to get anywhere near 6th. But I'd be perfectly happy with 7th if you offer me that right now. We've got to keep remembering that we're a newly promoted team. It doesn't matter about the money that we've spent or the players that we've got. We're still a promoted team, but we haven't gone into it with that mindset. If you remember back to May with the end of season dinner, and Laurie Dalrymple said we're going up into the Premier League to compete and to compete hard, and they've done that. They've put their money where their mouth is. They haven't just gone and spent loads of money like Fulham have, because it hasn't bought anything of it worth. You've got Cardiff, who are somehow look like they could have a shout of staying up. I mean, it would be a hell of a story if they did manage it. I would be shocked. Jason Turley has just taken the words out of my mouth. I was going to just mention put a tweet out last night about how everybody's supporting anybody who's playing Liverpool, and of course we have them in the last game of the season, and I would love it. I would love it if we could beat or at least stop Liverpool from winning the title. I think it would be the perfect way to end the season. If it was to secure our place in 7th, that would be even better. I think we need to have something to play for ourselves. Otherwise, I think we saw at the end of last season, Nuno sort of took that game against Sunderland as a bit of a day off. It's fair enough, making lots of changes and, letting Ruddy have a rest, and Norris and Burgoyne getting minutes. But really, it was a bit of a poor show, I think, from Nuno in that game. Jason Turley says it's written in the stars, mate. I would love it. I don't think we should have that mindset at all. We're in 7th and we should be aiming for 6th. Yeah, Paul, I completely agree. Completely agree. I think we should be looking up the table rather than back. We've got a decent gap now between us and 8th place. So, yeah, why not go for it? mean, it's a big gap to try and haul back, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to sign off in a couple of minutes now, so get your score predictions in, please. Let's see if I can read them out all quickly. Don't forget to put your scorers in there as well. We've got Soul Starling 2002. Is he the Middlesbrough fan? 2-1 Wolves, he says. LUFC Dave. So we haven't actually had any Wolves fans giving their predictions yet. We've had a Leeds fan and a Middlesbrough fan both predicting. Leeds fans predicting 3-2 for Shrewsbury. LUFC Dave. 3-2 Shrewsbury he's going for. Any Wolves fans out there want to throw in their predictions quickly in the last minute or so before I head off to the match? On the way into the game last week as well, I bumped into somebody who subscribes to the channel, and he very, very kindly bought me a bottle of Coke. Very, very kind man from South Wales. No predictions, anybody? We've got a Borough fan who's the most active person in this chat.